battle cancer. So I know you're going to speak to us about cancer and addiction. So why don't you jump right into it, introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about who you are and where my audience can find you.
Sounds good, man. Okay, my name is William Kemm, as you mentioned, and basically, like now, I'm working in holistic health with a world-class holistic health and life coach. I'm actually training with him, and he's got a company. It's called Elite Dynamic Life, and so basically, like I met this guy 5 years ago and just been working with him and training with him and his son. It's actually a father and son company, sorry. And like I said, you can find us at Elite Dynamic Life, or if you want to reach out to me personally, just find me on Facebook. That's usually the best place to find me. Just William Kemm is my handle on there. And yeah, that's it for my links, I guess. That's pretty much all I share. And on my Facebook, though, you can find my phone number and stuff. But yeah, I prefer people talk to me on Messenger first, and then we can set up a call.
Perfect, perfect. So in 2022, I had a family member that was going through a medical situation. And it
Mhm.
was a little bit of a struggle because no one in my family has anything of this type. And she ultimately ended up with cancer. And I know you were also impacted by that. So take us through the beginning. When did you find out about your diagnosis and what triggered you to say maybe something isn't right and ultimately find out?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, well, it started when I was 10 years old, is when I was first diagnosed with cancer, is T-cell leukemia. And I just got really tired in school one day. And so I just called my parents. They came and picked me up, and it just progressively got worse to the point where I was just in so much pain I couldn't sleep. And so they took me to the hospital, and like I lived in a small rural town, so they took me to the closest hospital, and they told my parents I had Hodgkin's. And so but for whatever reason, my parents they didn't take that diagnosis. So they actually took me to another hospital in Edmonton, and that's where they basically diagnosed me right away with T-cell leukemia. And by the time I got down there, this was probably about I'd say 10 days after I originally got sick. And in those 10 days, like I said, I was in so much pain. My lymph nodes were all swollen up, and my stomach was just in excruciating pain. Like I said, I couldn't even sleep, and just a lot of swelling going on in my lymph nodes and stuff. And on the way to the hospital, actually, I got like a massive nosebleed, and this went on for like an hour and a half. It's pretty crazy. Like I was 10 years old at the time, and I just didn't really understand what was going on. And shortly after I got to the Edmonton hospital, about an hour after, the doctors came into my parents what was going on. And so like they didn't know any different, right? So like I might mention, like now knowing what I know now, I would never go that route, me personally, right? I wouldn't suggest anyone go the Western medical road. I mean, that's gonna raise a lot of eyebrows, right? Like a lot of people won't agree with that, but that's that's just my opinion. That's been my experience, right? So I went through chemotherapy, radiation therapy, and then just a lot of different like treatments, right? Like spinal taps and things like that, which they did at that time. I'm not too sure if it's the same now. I'm not really too, up to date on the exact things. I know chemotherapy is still a thing, and radiation therapy, but that's what I had, right? And I had a few long stints in the hospital, and death was never a thought of mine. Like even though I seen like a lot of kids who I became friends with and stuff in there, they didn't make it, right? And I knew it, they had passed on, and but they're still with cancer, right? So it's but for whatever reason, like I was just, a tough kid at the time, and like I said, death was never a thought of mine. So I just kind of pushed through it, and I had my mom with me the whole time, right? She never left my side. She was my rock, like we were best friends. Like she was my best friend. Like I was a real mama's boy and stuff. And so yeah, it's like like I said, she never left my side. And she was huge in my healing, I think, too, from getting through all that, right?
When you look back, because 10 years old is a very young age to be confronted with something that is so large in nature,
Yeah, life
um,
changing. Yeah,
right? There's yeah,
yeah,
there's many people, and you may know them, and you saw them when probably you were there, where they hear cancer, they automatically think it's like a death sentence. They think the
yeah,
worst,
yeah.
right? Do you remember how you felt being that young, going through something that is so ominous in nature?
It's weird, man. Like, yeah, like I said, in all honesty, like it's just something I was like, I'm going through it. Like it wasn't even a cognitive thought of like I like had a lot going on as a kid, though, right? Like and my parents were fighting all the time, and like there was violence and stuff, and um, but like I said, I was emotionally it didn't bother me really, and like I said, it was just I took it on as something that I was just it was something that was brought upon me, and I was gonna get through it and go through it. It's kind of weird, right? Like I never um yeah, like I was happy the whole time. Like it's weird, like in the hospital, I'd be just like joking and playing with the nurses and stuff. And it was weird. It was kind of like a good time for me, honestly, man. Like, even though I got super weak and lost my hair and stuff, and like, that was a struggle. Like physically, it was like, I could tell it was taking a toll on me, right? Like, but I still remained a happy, cheerful guy. It was weird, right? Like I said, the nurses loved me and stuff, and I just made the best of it, right? Yeah.
Looking back, how much do you think your life has been impacted by that situation?
That's the thing I'd say. Like it was life changing for me, right? The bone marrow transplant, I had to have like 10 rounds of full body radiation. And basically what that does, it burns you from the inside out, right? So I just remember like, tons and tons of pain, but like I was on like a ton of morphine, right? I remember the nurses telling me like that amount of morphine would drop any regular human being, like it would kill them, right? And I could hit this thing every 7 minutes. So like that's part of my story too. Like I basically became addicted to opiates then as a child, which I didn't understand. Then I didn't think I was physically addicted, and like that was never like I didn't even know that was a thing, right? But I remember the doctors trying to take it away from me when I was in the hospital when I was going through my bone marrow transplant. I just remember getting really upset and crying about it, right? Like I didn't want them to take it away, right? So looking back on it now, like I can understand why, because I actually honestly enjoyed it, obviously, right? Like it was like the best feeling in the world was to get injected with the morphine, right? Like I said, because I had it in my intravenous, and I just remember it being like a really good feeling. Yeah.
How long did you battle that addiction to opioids and morphine?
That's the thing. Like it wasn't an addiction at the time. It was like basically they took it away from me and then it was gone, right? But like the treatments and stuff, the radiation, it damaged my lungs. It like you can tell my voice is different. It damaged like reproductive organs and stuff like that, right? Like it's yeah, man, it was crazy. It like gave me like a super, super weak immune system. And I had chronic fatigue syndrome for a long, long time. My memory was basically non-existent for a long, long time. A lot of things, man. Cramps. I had cramps all over my body. Like it was brutal, man. Like some of the things I went through and through most of my life, honestly. Just not knowing how to repair myself from that, right? As with I know a lot of people that went through what I went through, they're going through that too, right? So, but yeah, man, it's chemotherapy and radiation therapy. It's one of the most toxic things you can do to your body, as you can imagine. I'm sure stunted my growth. Yeah.
Yeah, when I look at the family member who was going through that, we caught the cancer early, and it was they
Mm,
said it was like
mm,
before stage one, right? So it was really,
mm.
really early.
Yeah.
And when they went through their radiation and everything, they felt like they're being cooked, as you mentioned, from the inside out, right? They're overheated and they felt exhausted
Yeah.
afterwards.
Yes.
And it's tough. And there's many times where I look back to what they're going through, and it's like there has to be a better way to deal with this, because this seems, to your point, so detrimental to their body. But one thing that I found, and I'll ask you this question as well, Bill, is mentally they were being impacted quite a bit, maybe
Mm,
on this prop on the same level, if not more, because they felt like their life was forever changed. They felt like,
mm,
I don't want to fight anymore. This is so exhausting. It was just tiring to do everything in their
mm,
life. Like, I know you went through it as a child, but
mm.
if you were to go through it, let's say later on in life, do you believe that you would have maybe similar thoughts where this is tiring, this is exhausting, I don't know if I can keep
Yeah.
fighting?
I could definitely, yeah, relate to that, man. Because like I said, like at the time when I was young and 10 years old, it didn't weigh on me like that, right? Which is probably good. I was diagnosed when I was so young, right? Because I still had all my health, right? Or sort of what I thought. But as the years went on, And don't get me wrong too, like when I got out of the hospital and stuff, I was different, right? Like the kids could tell I was different and they treated me different and that was tough, right? Because I wanted to be treated just like a regular person, just like a regular kid, right? But then I started to realize like, maybe I'm not gonna become, maybe I'm not gonna get my health back, maybe I'm not even not gonna be a normal, human being again, right? Like maybe I'll never get healthy again, right? And it was bad, it was tough, man. And I think shortly after that too, my mom died. Like we were coming home from one of my checkups and she was super tired, I guess, and we got in a motor vehicle accident. She fell asleep at the wheel and we were both ejected from the vehicle and unfortunately the vehicle landed on top of her, killing her instantly. And I was thrown into the ditch and I suffered a fractured femur and a concussion and stuff. And but it was just like the loss of my mom was absolutely devastating to put that on top of what I was already going through, right? It destroyed me, honestly. And I just became a really bitter, angry person. And yeah, man, it was tough. And then going through what I was going through with the health and stuff too, it's just like I said, the best way I could describe was I just became really angry. And I started acting out, and that's when basically I started dabbling in drugs and stuff like that, right? And it started like I think I was in, probably in grade 8 at the time when my mom died. A lot of it's a blur, right? I could probably blocked a lot of it out. And like I said, I went through so much in such a short amount of time. I don't remember the exact dates and stuff, but basically, like I started stealing my dad's booze and his cigarettes and stuff and taking that to school and skipping school. And it just got progressively worse, right? Tried a geographical change. My dad did anyways. And we moved to the island and basically things just continued as they were. Like after my mom passed away, right, I guess, I was just really struggling to fit in. Like kids were cruel, right? As you can imagine. And like they could tell I was different. And so it was a new group of kids and they were picking on me and stuff. And so I was just like, I just decided I'm not going to go to school and just told my dad, like, I'm not going to go to school and I'm going to try homeschool. And that didn't work out too well. Like I just didn't do it. Right. So basically my dad sent me to an alternative school and it was basically the same deal. I was just super insecure, like had a lot of anxiety and depression and just a lot of stuff going on, right? As you can imagine. I was underweight and yeah, it was tough, man. And so I just, I found a crowd that like would accept me, right? Which was unfortunately the crowd was, doing drugs and drinking all the time, right? So yeah, that's kind of where things kind of went for me for quite some time. Yeah.
For those who are watching on YouTube, Facebook, please follow along and share for more incredible interviews like the one we have with Bill today. And we will be back for more. So stay tuned.